What's going on, guys? I'm excited. Welcome to the first video of my brand new YouTube channel. This is a channel I built for entrepreneurs on entrepreneurship. I am a real entrepreneur building a channel for real entrepreneurs, not a fake guru, right? So I want you to understand that this is a channel that has nothing to sell you. There's no coaching courses. There's no home study courses. There's no $100,000 upsell pitch for high-end consulting. I'm giving you something of value here. A decade of experiences of how I built some of the world's largest real estate businesses. I'm going to teach you exactly how I did this. But this is a channel for all entrepreneurs in all spaces: insurance, network marketing, small businesses, real estate. It doesn't matter which industry you're coming from, because this channel here is based off overall principles of success. We're going to talk about mindset, self-development, time management, leadership, marketing, starting, scaling, and building a business. So what I want to do is help entrepreneurs start, scale, and grow large teams, businesses, and organizations. That's the intent of this channel. Now, why do I want to do this? I want to do this because I want to pay it forward to the world, because the world is not doing well right now. Unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is there's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of struggling businesses, because we're post-pandemic, we're dealing with inflation, we're dealing with a recession, and there's a lot of fear, stress, and anxiety. I'm a mindset coach. I can help a lot on this channel with those types of things, teaching how to overcome fear, how to overcome worry, how to build self-esteem. We're going to talk a lot about that on here, but this channel I'm building to help the country, to help the world, and to pay it forward. I'm also using this to create attention, to build my own businesses, actually real businesses. I'm not just trying to sell you something, if that makes sense, which you'll find out more about on this channel. Now, I need you to understand that going forward, I'm going to put a lot of content out here. I'm going to do the best to make it original, 100% original content. You're not probably going to see things on this channel that you see on all these other channels out there. I want to make this specific, unique to you guys. So I'm going to tell stories, strategies, lessons I've learned. I'm going to tell you some of the most embarrassing stories on this channel. Some of them are funny, some of them are terrifying, on how I built these businesses. I went from $100,000 in debt, living at home with my parents, about to take my own life, unfortunately, to building some of the biggest seven-figure businesses out there in the industry that I'm in. And I want to talk about that journey on this video. So let me tell you my story. Let me introduce myself to you a little bit more formally. And then I'm going to have a video coming out in a couple of days after this one, talking about why I built this channel. And then we're digging on into this channel in a way that you've probably not seen certain channels start before, in a sequential order of how to start a business. But before we do, let's introduce myself a little bit more closely to you. And let me tell you my story about how I got here in front of you right now. And let's do this. Now, before you decide if you want to subscribe and follow me on this channel, guys, I want to tell you my story and introduce myself to you through my story. And it's one of those in which I kind of fell from the grace of being at the top of the world and hit rock bottom and went toe-to-toe with the devil in the darkness for years. And I was fortunate enough to come out of it, come up out of this ashes like a phoenix rising from the ashes type of story. I'm going to tell you that story, but I want you to listen to it in detail and really understand that this can impact you in the story that you tell going forward. And many of you guys right now are in a position in life where you don't like where you're at. And I want to speak to you here real quick, because this is serious. We just went through a lot of external emotional trauma, still going through it right now. So if you're living through pressure, anxiety, stress, pain, emotion, fear, lacking of self-esteem, lacking of self-confidence, you have that uncertainty about where you're going with your own life, or where the country's going, or where the world's going, it is okay. I was at rock bottom beyond belief. I'm going to tell you my story. I was literally up against it in every way possible. So I want you to understand that's normal how you're feeling right now, but it's not going to be what's going to happen in the future, at least the thoughts of fear that you're thinking. Because I'm going to talk about thinking, I'm going to talk about planes here real quick, and I want you to understand your best days are ahead of you. And right now, it can sometimes be hard to see it, which it was for me, and you're going to hear this in my story, but you can have a great future regardless if you do the right things. I'm going to teach you how to do the right things on this channel going forward. Now, let's talk about this real quick here. What all successful people understand is that they have a conscious mind, an unconscious mind, and an emotional body, and how they work together. And they understand that the thoughts they think today, that they emotionally involve themselves in, creates their attitude, and their attitude creates everything as far as their environment around them. Meaning, if you have a good attitude, you'll have a good life. If you have a bad attitude, you'll have a bad life, because who wants to be around someone with a bad attitude? So if you want to build a big business, like one of the ones that I have, like over 2,000 real estate agent team, do you think people want to be around someone with a bad attitude? No, people want to be around someone that are positive, motivating, good attitude, right? So the point is that your thoughts create your emotions create your attitude is everything in life, because it dictates who wants to be around you, what opportunities come and stay around you, and everything going on in between. So let's talk about this real quick. I don't want to start here. Let's talk about the three planes. Once you understand this, you have the very first step of really moving faster in life. First thing is, what are we doing right now? We're in the present. I mean, kind of we're in the present, right? So you're in the present. You're presently watching this that I filmed at the present in my life, but it's now the past in my life for your present. Let me explain. You're watching this right now, lifetime. It could be a year from now, 2 years from now. It could be 10 years from now when you stumble across this video. You're conscious currently in your world, in your awareness, living in the present that you have. But by the time you watched it, I filmed this right now as I'm talking to you in my present. But by the time that you're watching it, it's in the past of my life, if that makes sense. Now, why is this important? It means that something that I can do in my present can stay in the past of the world that we all live in, that someone else in their present can come past it and gain value, knowledge, or skill sets from it that they can apply in their present that can change their future, right? Remember, cats can't do this, dogs can't do this, birds can't do this, desks can't do this. You can do this. You can take information that you learn in the present or you study from the past and apply it and change the story of your future. So if you don't like your movie that you're having right now, this is time for your comeback. Change the movie by changing your thoughts today. So you're in the present watching this. I'm in the present when I filmed it, but the past is where experiences come from that create our current identity, right? So think about that. What you can learn from this or someone else in a book or a podcast can be applied today that changes your future. So that's the first thing you understand is that you have the ability to change your future, which I didn't realize. I'll explain my story that I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, here it is. So I know this is kind of, it's going to be a little bit long, but it's a little bit unique. As I went off to college in 2003 and I put $20 in a poker site for fun and my hobby became a profession. And for 8 years, I became one of the top online poker players. I went to the University of Oklahoma to get a business marketing degree and I ended up majoring in online poker, I guess is what I usually tell people. Now, the first thing I want you to learn as far as this goes is that doors that you walk through once can lead to doors that you go through tomorrow. Meaning I went down this direction. I was going off to college to get a business marketing degree, but it led me to an online poker career. Now, what happened was I started playing for pennies, then dollars and tens of dollars and hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars. And I moved up to the top of the ranks because the technology allowed you to play way more hands per one table in comparison to an older business model, like a brick and mortar business model. Similar to what's happening in the real estate space with my brokerage with EXP, a brick and mortar business model was influenced and disrupted by technology, meaning a metaverse, right? Same thing happened in the poker world. This is where I've had big explosions in my career, is finding when technology evolves into a brick and mortar industry, right? So what this allowed was before chips to move, cards to move, very slow process. It would take 20, 30 years or more to play what I could play on one hand on the internet or one table on the internet because the speed of the cards, immediate speed, immediate chips moving, right? No people had to move these, no dealer had to move the chips around. What that meant was I could play multiple hands on one table more and I could play multiple tables at a time. So I was playing 20 to 24 tables at a time. And before I knew it, I played more hands than any person that ever lived playing live poker could ever done in a lifetime. And I did this in a matter of a few months, essentially, right? So the learning curve was shortened and you started seeing kids in college, young kids sneaking on their brother and older brother's poker accounts and things like that, start making big, big money. We moved up the ranks, right? And this was a great life for me. And I was making a ton of money. And what happened was I wanted to drop out of school. I was between my sophomore and junior year. And I want to put this part of my story here real quick for you guys that are in this moment, which a lot of entrepreneurs are starting out in college now. And many of you guys have great parents that, kind of helped you along the way, like mine did, where my parents invested in my college. I was very blessed, and I'm still grateful that they did this. Even though I didn't want to be doing that at the time, I actually didn't really want to be in school. I wanted to be playing poker professionally, right? Because I was making more a month than I would a year if I graduated. But I was put into a decision to quit and drop out of college between my sophomore and junior year. And this was a big decision for me. And what I decided to do was stick it out for my parents, even though it was brutal, out of respect for my parents, because you want to show respect to your parents, yourself, your friends, your family, your partners, because the more you respect others around you, the more they want to be around you and contribute to helping you, and you want to contribute to helping them. It's when others treat people with disrespect that people don't want to help them, right? So it's very important in leadership to understand this. So I decided out of everything, meaning I didn't want to do it more than anything, to finish out college out of respect for my parents and for myself. And I did. And it's a good thing I did. And if you guys are running a business right now that's doing well, just take in mind that it could not be doing well tomorrow. And if you don't have a degree tomorrow, where would you be? And if you don't finish out college for your parents and they're doing this for you, what do you think is going to happen, right? You're going to cause problems with your family. It's going to be a lot of, big headache, and you're going to basically have to live the rest of your life, which is what I didn't want to do, which is telling myself on a reflective thought process is I don't finish what I start. So you hear me talking about this on the channel a lot. Top entrepreneurs finish what they start. So be a finisher. Finish out college if you're there, guys. Get your degree. You don't know if you'll need it later. You may not. I didn't really need mine, but for many of the reasons I just showed you, the respect for my parents, the relationship side, the respect for myself, finishing it out, and also having that as a fallback as an insurance policy, it was worth doing it. So I just want to get that part out of the story because I know that a lot of you guys are probably in that situation right now. So got my degree. 8 years later, what happened was I woke up on a random date, and it was on April 15th, 2011. And this is when I learned the hard lesson in life, if you guys are young, that good things may or may not always last forever. And I was too young and too naive to not know this. And what had happened was these online poker sites that I made my living off of were hosted on offshore islands. I'm not really quite sure how it all went out, how it all played down still today. But my U.S. Department of Justice shut down these big poker sites. I woke up that morning and the websites had been seized and basically said, you can't play here. The U.S. Department of Justice has seized these sites. And what happened was when governments don't regulate something or have the ability to tax them the way they want, they either figure out how to do so or completely crush it. And that's what happened to me. Overnight, I lost everything. Now, why was it so tough? I was at the peak of my career. I was crushing every single person for the most part I was playing. I was dominating the top of the industry or top of the poker world, and I was killing it, making more money than I ever had. I was at the peak of my skill sets. I was in the middle of this big bull run, exponential growth. And what happened was I didn't lose it on my own. I didn't do something that caused it to go away. It wasn't something that I did. And this really bothered me that it was taken from me, right? It was like I was dead almost, like literally my soul had been ripped out of my body. And what that was my identity. For 8 or 9 years, I identified for the most part that I was one of these top online poker players. And imagine if you identify as a baseball player, as a real estate professional, as a top insurance leader, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden your identity's gone tomorrow. And it wasn't just that it was me, it was my entire world. My friends' identities were gone. The entire world disappeared. So you'll hear me talk a lot about real estate businesses because my biggest businesses are in real estate. But that'd be like tomorrow if everybody had to turn their real estate license in, turn their rental properties in, and basically be like, guess what? The industry's gone. Your life's done. Your friend's life's done. Tough, right? So as you can imagine, this is a very tough thing for me to deal with. And it messed me up emotionally, right? And I made some very bad decisions. And so if you guys have a big life tragedy or you're dealing with it right now, what I want you to understand is don't make big decisions with your money. Don't make big decisions with your relationships. Don't make big decisions until you move out of that negative emotional state or calm down to where you can have some actual awareness about this. Because what I did was I acted through what's called tilt, or in a disrupted emotional state, and I gambled off everything I had, essentially. I gambled off on blackjack and craps, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and basically made a bunch of bad decisions. And before I knew it, I literally had to move back home with my parents. And this is where I'm going to start getting vulnerable and embarrassing for you guys. But I literally had to move back home with my parents. I couldn't even move into my own bedroom. I had to move into my sister's bedroom because my bedroom was now storage. And I'm literally in this tiny little room, little tiny bed, tiny little desk the size of a bar stool. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened in my life, really, just to be honest. I'm like, okay, I thought I had it together. I'm driving sports cars. I had diamond watches, diamond jewelry. I'm dropping $1,000 a night at all sorts of different things. I had taken over the world in my early 20s, right? Top online poker player and just gone, living at home with my parents, depressed, anxious, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I fell into a very savage, deep, dark depression that led me into a suicidal window of my life for on and off for a number of years. But I'd have these big spurts where I was really consumed with those suicidal thoughts for like 30, 60, 90-day bursts of time. Now, this is where I'm kind of just opening up with you guys and being vulnerable with you, because this was a very difficult time for me. And I remember why I was feeling that way. And it was because I was looking forward in the future. Remember the planes that we live on, and I didn't see a future for myself. I saw that my best days were behind me and that my best days were not ahead of me. And I said, if I'm feeling this much pain today and I don't see a better future tomorrow, I don't want to feel like this forever. So what's the point? I'm not going to live like this forever. So why not, right? I want you to understand, storms are only short term. They are not long term. I didn't understand that at the time. Could you imagine how many people I've helped in my life? Could you imagine if this video helps you, if I had done that? So if you're in that moment right now, reach out to me. I don't care where you are in the world. I mean it. I know a lot of you guys are struggling mentally right now. We're seeing a lot of this all over the news and the media. I understand what's going on with you. It is not a long-term issue. There's nothing wrong with you. It is a short-term storm that's coming over your life that I can help you out of. So follow this channel. I'm going to do my best to help you guys if you're in these negative spots in life and really struggling, right? And so after years of dealing with this, right, what did I actually do? So there was a big moment in my life where I went on the internet and I just stumbling around trying to fix, watching YouTube videos and all sorts of different things, trying to figure out a solution to my problems. And I came across an old black and white recording of what's called Napoleon Hill's 17 Principles of Success, or his Rules of Success. I forget exactly what the title is, right? These are Napoleon Hill's black and white recordings. Now, what this did was something it triggered for me was that this individual was from the past, right? He was living in a different era. He was no longer living, but his message, I never heard anybody talk like this before in my life. I've been just focused on poker. And he's talking about your thoughts create your future. Whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. It still gives me chills today because Napoleon, we did it, bro. We're here now, right? So it's, and I want you guys to say that later too, because like it literally gives me chills to think about this, because at that moment, as I went down reading Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil and other Napoleon Hill books, I realized that my life at that moment had been completely created by myself, and I caused all the problems for myself, even though it didn't feel that way. It felt like the world had done it to me. And I'll explain this as I go through this, guys. So this is so important to understand that your thoughts create your future. And we're going to go down self-development in future videos from here and really dig into this. But what happened was I came across Napoleon, which led me to Earl Nightingale, which led me to Jim Rohn, then Bob Proctor, then Les Brown, then Zig Ziglar, then John Maxwell, then, all sorts of, Brian Tracy, and then all the modern day thought leaders. You got the Ed Mylett and PBDs and all the great ones now, right? So I went heavily into self-development. I started reading hundreds of books on anything and everything I could, and I became an education junkie, which is weird because in college, you couldn't get me to pick up a book. And this is another lesson I want to give to you guys right now. If you're struggling in school, and you come across this, it's not because you're stupid, it's because you're bored. I was bored. I didn't want to be there. And this is what drives me nuts, is because our traditional education system is flawed. And some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world are in school systems right now where they're being told they're stupid, or they're being told they're ignorant, or they're being told they'll never make it. And that's just not the truth. It's that those people that are teaching this, these idiot college professors, are the ones that are never going to make it. They don't even run a business. They're teaching in college. And that's not to be, rude, guys. If I'm not talking to all teachers, I'm talking about the ones that are telling these kids these things, right? So I'm not saying all teachers. Hope you understand that. But they're people that don't do exactly what they even do themselves, but they're teaching other people to do it. And all these kids are getting lost in school because of bad college professors and bad teachers, like I've seen happen to me and my friends and everybody else, right? So what you need to understand is education is your future and your business and your relationships, but the right education chosen by you. I didn't want to be in school. I was bored. I hated being there. In fact, I graduated college, I say perfectly, because I had to retake 2 classes to pass with the exact 0.1% that I needed to graduate college. Most people would say you almost flunked out. I said I did it perfect, meaning I spent the least amount of time I actually had to do to get the same degree that someone that spent way more time than me did to get an A+, right, or 4.0. So the point is, I didn't want to be there. But when I wanted to educate myself and I realized the impact in my life, I loved education. So you may be the same way. Pick up Think and Grow Rich, read that book, pick up some of his other books. It started a linear sequential order of events for me that led me down self-development. And what self-development is, if you're not aware of this, is the lifelong pursuit of bettering ourselves in all areas of our life, our physical, relationships, spiritual, financial, on the business side, our mental side. We want to be all we can be. And I know in a world right now where it's like, let's not be someone good. Let's not try. Let's not try to be the best we can be. Let's all participate and let's all be equal. It's bullshit. This is not this is not a participation event we're living in. This world we live in is a competition. You should be all that you can be for yourself, for your family, for your country. And if anybody's telling you to be any less, tell them to shut the fuck up, just to be honest. I don't cuss a lot on this channel, but I'm going to do it a few times. And it just drives me nuts because I know that your future is being affected like mine was. And I'm going to hopefully stop the noise around and help you understand that you need to listen to the right people. If you want to play football, learn from a football player. If you want to play baseball, learn from a baseball player. If you want to learn how to do business, learn from someone in business, not your parents. If your parents have not been successful, whatever they're telling you, or your teachers have not been successful, whatever they're telling you to do, if that's something that you're wanting to do, I mean, if your parents are not Olympians and you want to be an Olympian, don't listen to them on how to be an Olympian. Listen to them on life advice, how to be a good person, and learn from your parents. But I need you to start studying from the people that you want to become. Okay. That's the first thing I understood after going through self-development is I need to find mentors. And I couldn't afford one anymore. So I had to find online mentors. So I gave you those names. Those are the people that changed my life. And I want to be an online mentor for you because I can't find all y'all, but you can find me. Okay. That makes sense. So going through all this thought process and training on the law of attraction, law of vibration, law of polarity, all the different things with self-development, what I realized was I have enough confidence to do just enough to be dangerous. And I decided I was going to go into real estate investing because I wanted to build residual income. I wanted equity ownership, and I wanted a lifestyle that I could work hard, but not have to work forever, which is exiting it through residual or passive income streams. So we're going to talk a lot about passive income on this channel. I chose real estate as my vehicle. So it takes 2 things to be successful in life, guys. A vehicle to get you there, and the skill set's the person driving that vehicle, right? And real estate was a strong vehicle, and I knew it'd work. So I just needed to catch up my skill sets, and I believed in myself because now I was doing self-development, working on trying to be the best I could be, right? So what happened was I put up a bunch of money. I took out credit card cash advances and I went through this big ripoff guru company because I was going through so much self-development information. I realized I need more education and I paid 35 grand or so to go through one of those ripoff real estate investment conferences. And it was a horrible scam. They tricked me in every way. You guys can hear my story on my Investor Army channel if you want to know more. And basically what happened was I started doing all the things they were teaching me and I started going into debt. I started getting tens of thousands, then 50,000, and then almost $70,000 in debt. Before I knew it, I'd maxed out all my credit cards. I was in a situation where I didn't want to, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had huge interest. I'm living at home terrified, and I really don't know what to do right now. And I was in a situation where I think some of you guys might be right now, and my thought process on this could help you. I could go get a corporate job. I have my college education, but I knew if I did that, I would be walking away from my goals and dreams long term. I felt that if I went and got a job, what that would do is it would tie me into a comfortable life where I wouldn't want to get out of, if that makes sense. So I had a choice to either find out how to get a little money coming in or work a part-time job or just figure it out. And I knew I was getting close to doing deals because I'd almost done a few. So what I knew is I needed to have time. And so what I did was, instead of filing bankruptcy, like everybody advised me to do at this moment. So if you're at this moment right here, let me tell you what I did. Everybody told me to file bankruptcy, throw in the towel. It's cool, just cop out, put your problems on someone else. Instead of doing that, I want you guys to start thinking, how do big decisions affect how you think about yourself going forward? Because I knew if I did that, I would always say that I just quit, right? And I never really fought it because I didn't really fight it all the way through. And so instead of doing that, what I said was, no, my parents raised me different. My dad raised me different. And no, I'm not going to just file bankruptcy. No, I'm not just going to let someone else take my problem. I'm going to literally go toe to toe with the devil, face him face to face. And I'm going to fight this till the day I die, essentially. And I'm going to swing for it. And I will literally do everything I can to not have to go through this. Instead, what I did was I worked 12, 14, 16-hour days. And I literally chose voluntarily to get a job working at Academy Sports and Outdoors in Plano, Texas, sweeping floors to make enough money to keep my websites going. Because what was going on at this time was I was coming across SEO, WordPress websites, and search engine optimization and building websites. And I was watching YouTube videos to try to educate myself because I didn't have any more money for paid education. So I was watching YouTube for free, kind of how I ended up on YouTube. I'm giving you like a long story how I got here in front of you guys right now. And so I started watching YouTube videos for free, teaching myself how to do lead generation strategies with time. Now think about this real quick. You have resources and resourcefulness. If you're out of money, and you're out of resources, you have your time. And you can build businesses with time through social media. And I was teaching myself how to build WordPress websites. And I started to build private YouTube channels because Google had just acquired YouTube, and I was watching and learning things about how this would impact the algorithm. So I was one of the first 2 people to do this. I started linking private YouTube channels to my websites, and guess what happened? It drove the algorithm up. And I'm literally sitting there working for a boss at Academy Sports and Outdoors, hating my life for minimum wage, sweeping floors, having him laugh at me every single time, he hands me a broom, while still trying to build a business, right? Facing debt. And it was just this horrible, crushing situation. I'm trying to stay positive the whole thing. So I'm hoping you guys follow along if you're in that similar situation. But what happened was I didn't give up. I kept looking for opportunities. And I started building those websites out. And they started to go up the rankings. And they hit page 1 for We Buy Houses Dallas, Sell My House Dallas, McKinney. Some of the biggest keywords, short and tail, long tail keywords. I became number 1 ranking in North Texas. And I started doing a ton of deals. So I went from 100 grand debt to literally a year later, doing almost 40 transactions. In 1 week, I did almost $100,000 of profits in what's called wholesale transactions. And it completely changed my life in the matter of a year, right? So I went from here, starting to come out of it based off social media, technology, self-development, and the persistency and consistency to never quit and not throwing in the towel. Now, why I tell you this is because depending on your belief system, whether you're Christian or whatever your faith is, or whether you believe the world is powered by infinite intelligence, or you believe, we just float through this world randomly, I believe that we're being watched. That's my personal opinion. And I knew that at that moment, if I did not do the things that I thought the person watching me or the power to be watching me would improve on, that I wouldn't be given an opportunity to move forward in life to have that next opportunity. That's why I took so much extra pressure, so much extra stress on my shoulders. It was to demonstrate to myself, my family, the world, and God that I had what it takes to become someone that deserves to have a blessing given to them later. And I think a lot of you guys right now are dealing with problems and look at them as curses or struggles and things that are being done to you instead of blessings given to you. And what I look back and I'll talk a lot about on experiences and stories going forward, these horrible situations that happened to me were the biggest blessings, and you just don't see it in the front side, but you see it in hindsight. So if you're going through a storm right now, realize you're blessed. It doesn't feel that way. It will be at some point looking back. Okay, so I'm trying to get everything out as I can to like really help you guys understand where I was at and how I kind of got out of this. So I started doing a ton of deals on the internet, went from wholesaling houses, flipping houses, buying rental properties. I went into owner financing space, creating notes, selling notes. I started buying mobile homes, land deals, right? And I did a lot in the single family residential space. And I built a very successful real estate investment company in North Texas. Now, along the way, I started an experimental YouTube channel called Investor Army. It kind of took off. It became Texas's #1 residential real estate channel. It became the #1 residential real estate investing channel of any agent at my company here that I'm working with as far as my brokerage goes, out of over 83,000 agents. And what happened was I built that channel out of servitude, trying to help people understand the things that I had learned. And so they didn't have to go through the process I did with all those ripoff gurus, right? And it just kind of took off. And I quickly realized the power of digital marketing and internet marketing because I was one of the first few people doing this, which you can see I had bad lighting, bad audio, but the information was good and the information was real and it was sincere. And that's why people resonated with it. That channel took off and it put me on the map. It started creating attention for me. I started getting asked to speak at events. I started traveling the circuit. It opened up other business opportunities. And along the way, a lot of people started reaching out to me about a brokerage model called eXp Realty. It was a new cloud-based disruptive business model. We're now the fastest growing real estate brokerage in real estate history. But a lot of people started reaching out to me about this. And it has a very powerful team building model that allows agents in our company to build international organizations. Now, at the time, I had already built other businesses. I was running consulting businesses, digital marketing businesses. I was doing investing and other things in the real estate space, and I didn't really have the time to focus on this. And for 2 years, I blew eXp Really, the brokerage model, off. And then what happened was I was given another chance in life, and I was speaking at an event in Jackson, Mississippi, an owner financing event. And the #1 guy in our company was speaking at the same event. I got stuck into a speaker's house for a few days, or a house where a few of the speakers were staying. And I was able to spend a few days with him closely. I was able to see what he showed me about the business model, about how to build a big residual income and international business with no debt and liability. And I decided to get a real estate license and join this brokerage called eXp Realty. On top of all the other things that we're doing, it made sense. I'll talk about this throughout the channel. And as you watch this, guys, this is an entrepreneurship channel. It's not based off real estate, but most of the lessons I'm going to teach you came from building giant real estate businesses, if that makes sense. Kind of like how Patrick David is from the insurance space. So to keep that in mind, this is just for overall business and entrepreneurship. So finally, I got my license. Now here's what I'm talking about earlier. Doors open other doors, right? I'd spent years struggling, failing, learning to build the story from the past. And I started telling in the present on my channel. Well, people started resonating with it, right? And they started getting emotionally involved in it. So all these past experiences led me to this moment to where I built a YouTube channel. And then when I jumped into eXp, guess what happened? I built a following of just helping people for years. And they started reaching out to me. And people I started talking about eXp knew who I was, and I was credible because of the channel. And I started growing this team. In my first year at the company, we grew to 150 agents. My second year to over 300. My third year to over 600. My fourth year to 1,600. And currently right now, we're well over 2,000 agents worldwide in almost every American state. Pretty much every single country we're allowed to operate in within our country, within our business model, and almost every single Canadian province. We're selling this year conservatively probably 10,000 houses. And I built one of the largest real estate organizations in the world from my sister's bedroom, right? The point is, your present thoughts today can change your future tomorrow, but they need to be accurate. Start reading the right things. Follow me on this channel. I'm going to help you going forward. So what happened was fall from grace, hit rock bottom, self-development, internet digital marketing, looking for opportunities, went into one space, made my original wealth in one space, and used that to open up opportunities in other spaces, moved into one that was based off technology, which would be eXp, that has an international opportunity. So industry disrupting technology on an international level, using social media on an international footprint to reach out to the entire world. And I was able to start building this organization that's now built, a very, very large residual income. And now what I'm doing is I'm starting this channel to teach our agents, to help you guys in the entrepreneurship space all around the world, to grow our organization. So I don't have the time to really reach out and find people anymore. So agents and individuals are going to have to find me. So it's really the only thing I'm ever going to do or ask on this channel is if you're a real estate agent and you want to sit down, learn about what it would look like to work with us in the Wolfpack organization I started back in 2018, you just need to reach out to me. There's a link below this somewhere, and there'll be links on the future videos. It's the only thing that I'm ever really going to be pushing on this channel, other than aside from free education, which is if you want to work with us and actually build a business, you have the opportunity to sit down with us and learn from us. So I know it's kind of a long story, and I don't like to do my videos with a bunch of jump cuts. I'm kind of just a one take in and out type of person. You're probably not going to get like the best like audio and lighting on this channel. Just to be honest, guys, I run a lot of businesses and I really do what I say I'm doing behind the scenes. You'll be able to look into me. So I'm going to try to put a lot of content out, good content, but don't expect like the highest level audio and merging clips and audio overlays and stuff like that. But anyways, that's a little bit of an introduction to myself. In a couple days, I'm gonna put a video out here explaining this channel, what I'm really going to do with this channel, why I started the channel, also talking about other channels, and then some of the stuff that we could potentially do together as far as what I can help you with and learn. And then I'm going to go through a sequential order process of looking back after a decade in business of all the things I've experienced. If I was to start again, what would I do first? What would I do next? In a sequential order process so that you guys can start that process and find yourself in the right order of things to do to give yourself the best chance to be successful. So I hope you appreciate my story that I told you guys here. I was opening up a little vulnerable for you guys. It was not a long, I mean, it was not a short road for me. It was a long road for me. And it was a very difficult road. I had to go through the self-development process. So you are probably right where I'm at right now. If this is resonating with you, your best days are ahead of you. Your brightest days are ahead of you, but you need to work on yourself. Build yourself first and your business will build itself around you. Appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end. If you did, hit that button, subscribe to the channel, because if you made all this all the way to this part, guys, like you better hit that button, right? Other than that, I'm grateful for anybody that follows me on the channel going forward. I will continue to put these videos out with sincerity to help you, not hurt you. Meaning I'm not trying to just scam you and sell you something. I'm here to try to help you guys. I'm here to try to help our country, here to help the world if possible. I know I can't impact it more than probably a pea shooter, but hey, if it puts a dent somewhere, it was worth doing, right? Appreciate you guys. See you on the next video. Have a good one.